Hello, my name is Alan, and today I'm facilitating the finale, the fifth of 5 sessions of The Between. This is a soon-to-be-released PBTA game of Gothic horror in London in the 1870s. I've been 1890ing it, and I've read the rules a bit more care, and it's the 1870s. And this is a game to be published shortly in the next edition of the Gauntlet RPG Community's Codex Zine. The author is Jason Cordova. If you don't know about the Gauntlet, please look up Gauntlet-RPG and you will find us and what we do. We are a global, it's fair to say, RPG community that plays a variety of different games online. And we do lots of other stuff, not least, I'm just looking forward. It is in about a month's time, the last weekend in June, is the next Gauntlet Community Open Gaming, in which we invite people to come and play games with us. So check that out. I think registration starts on 1st of July. Go to Gauntlet-RPG and you will find all about that. We are playing today with a set of safety tools, as well as the Gauntlet community's code of conduct. We're playing with lines, veils, the X card, and an open door. If you want to know more about those, then please refer to an early session of this series, or indeed any first session of any of my games. So as I said, my name is Alan, my pronouns are he, him, and I will go to our 3 players. Our 4th player is missing today because of some personal life stuff. So let me go left to right on the character sheet and say, Stephen, say hello, tell us for your pronouns, and introduce us to the angel, Constance O'Neill.
Hey there's, I'm Stephen, he, him, and I am playing Constance O'Neill, she, her, the American. Uh, I've I've been Americaning it up as her more than I do on a day-to-day basis, but uh, yeah, we've been seeing more of her, of the fact of her like werewolf, whatever it is, infection spreading into her personal life, and yeah, I don't know how much, I forget if I really got up, I forgot what I got up to last session.
I think we last saw you examining exsanguinated corpses in the basement of an opium
Oh,
den.
right. I was prying into Moore's personal life. I want to find out who
Exactly.
those secret love letters were never sent to.
Yes, yeah, everyone else is looking for clues relating to the threat. You just want gossip on more. I have reactivated the Pinkerton as a threat and added some detail. So we now have a question related to the Pinkerton agent sent by your family to retrieve you. You'll find them on the threat tab. Moving along, the aforementioned Mr. Moore. Donna, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to the factotum, Mr. Moore.
Yeah, my name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm playing Moore, the factotum, also he, him. Faithful manservant to the vessel, hence Unruh. And yeah, I guess his stoic and capable uprightness is certainly providing some catnip to those who cannot resist a mystery, I guess. And last week, I think we saw him, or at least we saw a little bit of his history with the opium den of Madame Bowes being revealed inadvertently. So, he has been around the block in this part of London before going to war. And yeah, I think mostly digging up a little bit in both of our mysteries and going underground to track down a vampire last week. So yeah, let's see.
And found a little box with something. I think we decided
something shocking. Yes, yeah.
Yet to be revealed. That's something shocking. It is odd that as the factotum, you are the kind of most ordinary in the sense of everyman ordinary, and yet you are the person everyone is most interested in. Moving along, Mendel, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Hence Unruh.
Hello, I'm Mendel. I use he, him pronouns. I'm playing Hence Unruh, the vessel, who uses they, them pronouns, and is an odd figure even in the mid-Victorian era, with long legs and a squat torso and an eye, a sinister left eye that peers larger than the other out from underneath a brimmed hat. Hence lives and breathes dark forces, and is trying to do some good with them. We'll see if that pans out.
Indeed, indeed. And last time I think discovered an unusual etching on the corner of a workhouse blueprint. Now, this is a game in which there are lots of plate spinning. So currently, in summary, as we enter our finale session, we have 3 live threats. We have the Pinkerton, who I have now added a name to. He is Winslow Taggart, here to retrieve the Pinkerton, to retrieve our American friend, the Angel. He was wounded. You shot one another at Cremorne Gardens. He is now recovered enough to have called at Hargrave House when you were out, and left his card. There must be another servant at Hargrave House. I can't remember. I can't believe the place is entirely empty all the time. We also have the creature of Cremorne Gardens as a live threat. Last time, the Hunters, which is how the player character is described, confirmed that it is in fact real, despite initial hypotheses that this was some kind of publicity or other hoax. It does appear to be real. If it is real, then what does the creature want? Resolve the threat by luring the creature to you, then destroying it or convincing it to go back wherever it came from. Your choice. Oh, and we do have a way to resolve the Pinkerton. Resolve the threat by confronting Taggart with his shady dealings and convincing him to leave London. Shady character, send him away. The other threat we have in play is the Limehouse lurker. There is hot money on this being a vampire. Last time you determined that it was an old vampire. And if it is old, you need to find its nest. Resolve the threat by infiltrating its nest and then destroying it or convincing it to leave London. Choices are yours. You have some clues in terms of Cremorne Gardens and the Limehouse lurker, but so far the Pinkerton has been a shadowy threat, but you have yet to investigate them. And I think that is the point we reached at dawn last time. So we have day to play. Is that your recollection, folks? I think we played dawn, but we didn't do the day phase.
I believe you're correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is day. Over breakfast last time, you answered some of those questions as detailed. I have presented the new threat with the day, which is that the Pinkerton left their card yesterday when Constance was out. What are we going to do? Let's start with you, Constance, the Angel O'Neill. It appears that Taggart has not gone away despite shooting him.
Yeah. There's an unfortunate number of folks that is true of.
And so you do know he's left a card. Scribbled on the back is a note that says, I am residing at the Langham Hotel. Do you want to avoid him or do you want to go in search of him?
Now, Mr. Moore, is the Langham Hotel the sort of institution that would object to some cold-blooded murder in its lobby?
Well, I mean, as much as I am in favor of doing things properly, I think you'd be misguided if you thought shooting them properly on the grounds of the Langham Hotel would be the right way to go about it.
I am able to tell you the Langham Hotel is a relatively new hotel and is pitching itself as the grandest grand hotel in London.
Well, there you go. You know,
Well, I suppose I'm gonna have to meet with him. I cannot guarantee to you, Mr. Moore, that there will not be some murdering happening at the end of that conversation. However,
Oh, I mean, as you like it, Miss O'Neill. I only wish you'd shot him right the first time.
Constance, perhaps I can provide some assistance. It is perhaps best not to go into these matters without some foresight.
oh well, certainly. You can come along with me.
You misunderstand. I am proposing to read the cards.
Aha.
That sounds mighty useful. Hence, sure, go right ahead.
Because this is a move you took last time, I think, is an improvement. The thinning of
Yes,
the veil.
the thinning of the veil. If Constance is about to walk into what could be an ambush, it would be better to know.
Oh, I assume it is an ambush.
Right,
hence.
but the question is, what kind of ambush?
Well, first of all, I want to set the scene. I mean, breakfast things have been cleared away. Moore has cleared breakfast, but you are still in the breakfast room. I want you to paint the scene for me, hence, about this card reading. What does your card reading look like?
So, I think that I have picked up or I had somewhere squirreled away a very, very well-worn deck of tarot cards, not a fortune teller's style deck, but literally a deck of cards that have been played with, like have been used for games that have bent edges and are probably missing some cards. It's a deck that hence has that they have used possibly since they were a child.
Okay. And so what does Constance sit down opposite you, in a shaded room?
Again, I don't feel like I don't feel like it's about the mood. It's about having some space, and in fact, I feel like Constance is probably not. I mean, you can read yourself on this, but I don't feel like you're going to just sit down in a context. I feel like you're probably standing there very skeptical of this, unless you want to not be.
Well, go ahead, Constance. Tell us what's your view of Hence's powers? Are you skeptical or are you all in?
I'm not so much skeptical as I just feel that if there is violence afoot, I suspect that Mr. Moore will be the handier help here, and he has yet to offer it.
I mean, Moore is looking on at this scene, and I think my reading of Constance is that she is not a planning kind of girl, right? Or at least a plan as a series of things that is not going to happen. But I'm not going to confound Hence's helpful intent in this regard. I think I'm just going to be busying myself around the house. The breakfast dishes do not clean themselves. So if I'm asked for help,
they always seem to get clean to me, Mr. Moore.
They do, don't they?
So read the cards, Hence.
All right. So
this is roll with sensitivity, I think.
Roll with sensitivity, yes. All right. Okay, that's pretty good.
So that's
an
11, I think.
Yes.
I mean, you can always put on a mask to make that into a 12.
I may very well
gives you anything.
I think it gives me something. I'm
It
double
does.
checking.
It gives you a clue.
Yes. So so indeed, I'm going to put on a mask because I mean, oh man, okay.
Yeah, I've just noticed what's next in your past.
Right, okay. But that feels like the appropriate one. So
It certainly belongs in a series 1 finale.
yes. Okay, so let's pull the trigger on the Mask of the Past, and get that clue. So we have seen several scenes of different childhood childhood versions of Hence, who looks like, you know, a normal, if sort of in sort of the classic Victorian way, not well determined, you know, young child. And I think this is the first time that we see them old enough that the left eye has begun to grow a little bit. And it's in that same bedroom that we've seen all these, most of these previous scenes. And it appears that underneath the sheets, Hence is attempting some flavor of Oniism. And that is when you know, we see their breathing get more intense, and then some of that sort of smoky, foggy breath comes out and sort of riles underneath the sheets, and suddenly there are other figures under there. And Hence has this expression of fear and pleasure, and just it's impossible to quite read. And then we cut. And I think we lost you.
There I think we draw a veil, because it's one of our veiled aspects. So no, I think that's great. So that was your first sexual encounter with a dark entity. So so let's just check this move. So on a 10 plus, on a hit, you may ask what is about to happen. Yeah. And I think what you see is death of a servant. That is what is about to happen. On a 10 plus, you may also ask, why is this about to happen? And on a 12 plus, you also find a clue. I think that I am going to give you the clue. This is to do with, I have no tarot experience at all, so I'm really struggling here, but I am going to tell you.
I will tell me what I did see, and I'll describe how the cards informed us.
So I'm going to give you 2 clues, in fact, because I can't separate them. A maid at the Langham is found dead, seemingly pushed out of a window. And the other thing I'm going to give you is that's what. And the why is I am going to show you, I am going to say that this relates to a small glass tube of rubies. And that is the technical clue.
I will. So the way I like to think this is working is, again, it's not a here's this card with this mysterious image. I think that it's analogous to watching a game of 3-card Monte, but with more and more cards. It's like like this card play, the cards moving, and Constance's eyes being just drawn to that. And in the blur of the moving cards and the flickering images of different colors, even on the faded cards, something, just these other images flash onto to Constance. Like, to some extent, I don't get to see this. I may kind of know something has happened, but I don't have the images as directly as Constance does, because I'm doing this for her, like, to see.
Okay.
So
I've added 2 clues, in fact, because I can't think of a better way to use the material than that. A maid at the Langham is found dead, seemingly pushed out of a window. And the Y is a small glass tube of rubies. Okay. So, Constance, on the basis of Hence's reading, what are you inclined to do?
So what was the particular prediction about me? It was just death of a servant was what I got.
Death of a servant, and I've detailed that as a maid at the Langham Hotel is found dead, seemingly pushed out of a window.
Right. Well, I suppose that does. I both feel now that the onus is on me to invite Mr. Moore, but also not invite him. I suppose we could read the Pinkerton agent as a certain kind of servant, but Mr. Moore, maybe you better keep away from the hotel for the moment.
Oh, sorry, I think I may have misled you. What the death of a servant, and I have characterized that as a vision of a maid at the Langham Hotel, i.e. a servant at the Langham.
Yes, no, I know. That's just
okay.
Constance's.
Okay. But what are you actually going to do, Constance?
Well, it appears that there is that this is, well, he's a Pinkerton agent, so we knew he was a murderer for hire already, but it appears that he is murdering more than just the folks he's being paid to kill. So I think that it's about time that we finish this between the two of us.
Okay. So you're off to the Langham Hotel, I think.
Yep.
Okay. Let me go next to Hence. Hence, we have the 3 live threats: Cremorne Gardens, Limehouse Lurker, and the Langham Hotel. What are your plans at the start of today?
What I would like to do is to try to deal with the creature of Cremorne Gardens and convince it to leave. That perhaps means that we need to have a discussion. I feel like as much as it would be safer to do the vampire during the day, it is the nature of these things that you can only end up hunting vampires at the absolute worst time to do so.
Of course.
Right. So I was thinking, but that question is like whether we feel that not having our gunslinger along is going to deleteriously affect the outcome of this operation.
Well,
in which case we might want to ensure that our gunslinger does in fact live to help us out.
So, in consultation, Mr. Moore, what's your advice to your employer?
Well, in my experience, Constance is nothing if not direct. So if she had wanted me to go to the hotel, she definitely would have said it. So, her concern for me is touching, if surprising. And so I will take her advice and stay away. Unless, Stephen, you are going to be much more direct with more than that.
Well, no, I quite like Mr. Moore. He's a nice enough fella if a stick in the mud.
Always charming, in a colonial fashion. So yeah, I think I guess we could shoot for the stars and go for 3 mysteries in one session, but maybe we should go along with Hence to the garden.
Okay. Now, just to be clear, the opportunity you have is with this with the Cremorne is to resolve the threat by luring the creature to you. So the way this would work, I think, mechanically, is that you currently have a number of unused clues to involve in luring it to you and giving it a good reason to go away. So you could seek some more clues, I guess, is what I'm reminding you at Cremorne Gardens. So let's go first to Cremorne Gardens then, hence and more. What are we seeing you doing?
Well, I think that. Oh,
let
sorry,
me start with more. More,
Okay.
where do we see the pair of you at Cremorne Gardens?
I think we are down by the water side. And I think maybe it might be an opportunity to get another clue if we want to be a little bit safer with our role.
Right. We do have 6 clues already.
Oh, sorry, +2. Yeah.
So we're already at +2 if we can use them all.
So maybe there's no need.
Well, I was at least suggesting that we may, if we want to find more clues, I was just suggesting we may want to theorize.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Let's cut to the chase then.
Okay.
Right.
So how are you going to? Because you need to resolve the threat by luring the creature to you and destroying it or convincing it to go back wherever it came from. So how are you going to pin these bits of clue together? Hence, it sounds like you've got an idea.
Well, I was going to start, my linchpin was going to be the pearl, because that vision of the pearl that the creature gave me, it's what it wants. It feels very clear that that's what it wants. So the question is, why does it not already have the pearl?
Okay.
And so my read on that is that there is probably someone has found or acquired this, the pearl, and I see some things are moving.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm just getting rid of the ones that you've
Okay.
already used, so I don't.
Right. Sure. I will uncheck the large flawless pearl. I just checked it.
Yeah.
So
let me just
move
those
just
down,
so that there's no confusion.
Yeah.
It occurs to me that we have this general backstory about overdue bills and arguments between characters, and of course, notes about breaking relationships that suggest changes in social status, that perhaps, or in fact, changes in business relationships, that perhaps there is someone has acquired this pearl and that there is disagreements about how to sell it, or whether to hurry and sell it, or to try to get the best price, or who actually has ownership of this pearl. And that perhaps if we can recover the pearl, we can encourage the creature to return to the depths of the sea, where presumably it will only rise when the great old ones rise or something. So we're good.
Perhaps we could suggest that Simpson recovered the pearl down at the meadows overlooking the river, and then because of his burgeoning debts, sold it, or at least sold the debt on with the pearl to Simon Piedmont, the young lover in the couple.
Oh, maybe it was used to secure a loan.
Yeah, and then Simon, of course, being a helpless romantic, might have set it in a necklace or something to give to Beulah, who then returned it in that breakup note.
Well, that I'm quite impressed by that. That would leave us with difficult to say what caused it, claw or metal, in terms of the wound on her leg. And reports of drunken disorderly activity have abounded lately. We still have those to play with. So far, I'm seeing that linking 4 together.
Well, I think that if she was if she had the pearl, then that damage on her being a claw indicates the creature was drawn to her.
Aha, fair enough.
And also, having hung out in the Limehouse docks quite a while, I know the stories that sailors tell to avoid the effects of a siren song is to, get a bit lush.
Okay.
I mean, if you cannot tie yourself to a mast, you must be drunk.
So it seems to me that you have bound together these 6. That would seem to me to be sufficient if you succeed to lure the creature to you. But I think you are going to need that pearl, aren't you, to kind of pull this off? That seems to me to be the kind of narrative positioning around
well,
this.
the goal here would be to know where the pearl is.
Okay.
So we know where the creature is going.
I mean,
Okay.
perhaps here the degree of success reflects the fact of like whether or not like they get to who has the pearl before the creature does.
I like that. So, Moore, have you answered a question yet? I'm not sure you have you?
I'm sure I have, but I've certainly rolled.
Oh, right, fair enough. Right then.
But I'm happy to
go for it. Let's have you roll +2 to see whether we can pin down where the pearl is.
Okay. By the skin of my teeth. That is I rolled a 5, so that is a 7.
Right. Now you can improve that to a 10+ if everyone is prepared to don a mask.
I mean, I think we like trouble, don't we?
Okay. Okay.
Maybe we don't, but
So I think what it sounds like is that she returned. I think what you said was that she had returned the pearl to Simon in her note. So at this point, is the pearl with Simon?
Yeah, I think that's
where we're going.
Seems like where we would end up. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless the note indicated that she had left the pearl for Simon somewhere.
I think
that's up to you.
I think it
probably makes more sense that Simon is the target.
Yeah, because I don't think we liked Simon when we met him. He was rather a bumptious.
If he should end up being killed by this creature of the deep, then no tears shall be shed.
Whereas Beulah Frum, I think there's a degree of audience sympathy with Beulah. So yes, let's assume that it is with Simon. Where is Simon Moore?
I mean, I think as a person with interest in and holding debts for Simpson's operation, he may be trying to get involved, lend a helping hand, or maybe just pump some money out of Simpson to see his investment returned.
So is it reasonable then that we will see him with Mr. Simpson, and let's put him in Simpson's office? Yeah. And so that is where, as far as you're concerned, the pearl is. But I think you're right. I think it's a neat one, Stephen. I thank you for it. That the idea that the unwelcome complication is that the creature will also arrive at the same time. Yeah. So as you are walking back through Cremorne Gardens, thinking you might have to find out where Simon lives or track him down, I think you will hear a shout as Simpson bursts from his office, shouting, "It's here! It's here!" What do you do, Hens?
I think I'm going to throw caution to the wind and rush into the office.
I am trying to set up an opportunity here for Moore to protect their employer. So you will come upon, now what is it that frightens you, Hens, when you burst in to the office past the shocked, white-faced Mr. Simpson?
Okay, so I feel like in the dark corner of the room is the creature, and the creature is being held at bay because because I'm forgetting what's his name.
Simon.
Because Simon has pulled a revolver and is waving it, and the creature is aware enough of what's going on that knows this is a danger to it, and is waving it around with a degree of both incompetency with firearms and general nervousness that makes you expect that it will go off in any direction at any time, at any point.
Yes, I think you've just turned this, whatever happens here, it's going to be a night move. So Moore, that is the scene. So hence bursts in, sees this, followed by you. Moore, what is your inclination?
I mean, I think I shall maybe trust. Maybe I don't trust Simon not to fire the gun. I should probably just take it off him. You know, there's nothing so dangerous as a man who doesn't know which way to point one of these things.
Indeed, and he is just waving it about, saying, "Stay away from me! Stay away from me!" Therefore, I think this is a night move, though it's during the daytime, because there is real risk here. Mm-hmm. So, Moore, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve, and then I'll tell you how it could be worse.
I mean, like, obviously, I'm afraid that my employer will be shot. Never one to really trust that I could get shot. I'm a lucky devil.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It could be worse that your employer could be shot in the head.
There is that.
And remember that the nice thing about this is I can set the stakes as high as I like, because you always have a mask at your disposal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I have the? Can I use an item from my my quarters to help more?
There isn't a help move.
I know. I'm just. Yes. So at some point, okay. Well, if I get a chance to make a move, then I'll use the item I was planning to use.
Fine. So Moore, you make a lunge for Simon with the intention of disarming him, I guess. Yes.
Yeah.
So I am going to count this because you've defined the stakes as harm to your employer. Then I think you are acting to protect your employer. So you can choose to back down or go through with it. The sense I get is you're going to go through with this effort. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so I'll be rolling with advantage. Okay, so that is an 8.
8. So on some line you do it or hold steady, but there is a complication or cost. The keeper describe what it looks like. So I think the cost is that while Hence is not shot in the head, I think Hence is shot in the arm. So Hence, it sounded like you might want to act. Do you want to act now, or have I ruined your fictional positioning?
So I think maybe I will don a mask to bump this to a 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm back to the start. Sorry,
go on.
Okay. I'm back to the start of my list in masks of past because of my moss-covered gate. So narrate a flashback to your young adulthood before you were servant that shows your most significant professional triumph. I think previously we saw more on the dusty plains of Afghanistan, which now that we're in the 1870s doesn't make any sense.
No, but I'm sure that there were British forces on the frontier before the Afghan war, so don't worry about that.
And we, but I think immediately before that kind of professional triumph, we see a young second lieutenant with a revolver exactly like this, losing his head, and we see Moore just clock him over the head, knock him out, taking the pistol from him and kind of leading the troop himself.
Yeah, so practical, so much the man you go to in an emergency, Mr. Moore. And that allows you to disarm Simon. And what do you subdue him on the ground? What do you do?
Yeah, he is on the ground, and I have my knee in the small of his back. And I think I shall continue to point the revolver at the creature in the corner. And then I am basically telling Simon to give me the pearl.
Okay. Because hence it does look as though the creature is now going to leap at Simon, which may mean leaping at Moore, given that Moore is in the way. Okay. Is there anything you want to do to intervene?
Yes, I'm going to attempt to distract the creature using the aforementioned deck of tarot cards.
Okay, there you go then. So mark tarot cards, and I think this is a day move rather than, because I'm not sure that the focus of the aggression from the creature is on you yet. So the day move, what you're name what you're afraid will happen. Hence,
I'm afraid that the creature is going to jump onto the dog pile, and it's going to become a mess.
Okay,
and basically, yeah. Moore will be in danger from that.
So how do you distract a half-human sea monster with a deck of tarot cards?
In the most direct manner possible. I cast them in front of it and have the cards just fly everywhere.
Okay, that's literally what you did.
Yes. Right.
Sorry, I had to clarify for any folks watching. I had asked in chat if Hugs was just going to ask if the creature had ever played 52 pickup.
And so
well, it's 74 card pickup because there's 4 missing cards. But
yeah.
Same, yes, similar concept.
So there's a flurry of tarot cards before the creature. This sounds like composure to me. Hence,
sure.
So let's have you roll +1. Ooh, 7, close run thing. On a 7, the keeper will tell you how your actions would leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it.
What was the third die?
Oh, sorry?
I rolled 3d6 +1.
Oh, did you? Sorry,
yeah.
I didn't see a third one move. Go ahead. So what are you looking at?
Oh, well, I typed 3d6 +1, and it said I got 1 and a 5.
Okay, well, look, I tell you what, can you see there's a 4 below that?
Okay, yeah.
Highlight that and click the reroll button.
I will.
Oh, well,
okay.
That now we have an 11. So do you want to, I'm just trying to see, is it worth you upping this to a 12?
I think I can only, I don't know, do I get a mastermind clue if I do that or something?
You can always add you can always declare a mask to turn that 11 into a 12 plus. You'll get some extra benefit or advantage you receive. Describe what it looks like.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I will do that because, use them or lose them.
Well, indeed. We are in our finale.
Right.
So which mask are you now going to mark?
Okay. I'm going to mark another Mask of the Past because I'm trying to get to I'm trying to get far enough down that I can introduce the cover.
Okay.
Not necessarily the threat move, but I'd like to at least narratively get to that.
Yeah.
So, using my powers for selfish means. Again, we have an older, more we're talking adolescent, hence longer legs and stouter torso and a looming sinister eye, although in truth they're sort of glaring in general, and there's a tutor there who is attempting to teach some idiosyncratic feature of not even British history but classical history. like the Punic Wars or something. And hence has gone from being simply bored to being increasingly frustrated, and you see them, breathing harder, and clenching their fists, and then there is this emanation, and the breath forms these figures, which we're finally seeing them properly in some places. And there's a figure that looks like a scorpion merged with a hawk, and there's another figure that is some sort of like six-limbed wolfen thing, and they sort of cluster around the tutor, who is just looking back up from their chalkboard in more startlement than even fear at this point. And then we just back away, and there's a splash of blood.
Oh, yes.
On the chalkboard.
Okay, fine. Scratch one, tutor. Thank you for that. So so that turns that into a 12. And for that, you do what you intended. The keeper will tell you some extra benefit or advantage you receive. Describe what it looks like. I think that the pearl is now running free, so to speak. It's rolling across the floor. So what have we seen in the scene that could explain that?
Okay, so I think that what happens is the cards, as I throw them, they seem to have a life of their own. Like some of them are staying in the air longer than is plausible, and spinning around and sort of distracting the creature. But a few others have sort of slid onto the floor, and as Simon attempts to sort of pull away and keep the hand that he's got the pearl in away from Moore, because Moore is going for the gun hand, obviously. He shifts his weight, and his foot goes on some of those cards, and just as though they slide suddenly freely across the floor, and he goes over tea kettles and is flailing, and instinctively opens his hands to try to catch himself, releasing both the gun and the pearl, presumably, although we'll decide that part later.
No,
and the pearl begins. Yeah, no,
that works. That's a perfectly sound advantage. And so yes, and the pearl, we know Moore has the gun. Do you then grab the pearl, hence?
I think the pearl actually slides towards the creature.
Okay, and that completes perfectly the distraction, because suddenly its attention moves from Hence and Moore and Simon to the pearl itself, and it leaps on the pearl,
right.
And holds it, and strokes it. Let's cut to Constance, getting out of a cab at the Langham Hotel, I guess. What's the plan, Angel?
Well, this fella has invited me to a sit down, and I'm certain that one of us is going to have more holes in them at the end of the sit down, but we'll see how that goes.
Well, let me kind of run it in stages then. He left you his address at the Langham Hotel, so you are in reception at the Langham Hotel.
Yep.
How are you going to find him? Do you talk to reception? What's the plan?
Yeah, I go to reception, and what was his name?
Winslow Taggart.
Yeah, I actually come up if he's not down here. I come up and say, "Well, hello there, friend. I'm a friend of a Mr. Taggart. You might remember him. He's a American bloke like me."
And this is we got an opportunity to paint the scene here in terms of the hotel. The hotel staff dash to and fro, great piles of luggage, a pair of gentlemen in comfy lobby chairs in conversation with one another. The Langham is one of the newer hotels in the city. What do you see that shows how they are putting their best foot forward?
I think that like that we have a lot of I just like the thought that like there's a lot of stuff that is meant to be look like it's like a lot of the decorations are meant to look like they've been gilt in gold, but the paint is still very clearly still wet on them.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I think I'm going to put the manager, Randall Meyer, behind the reception desk, where glistening coiffure, vibrant pocket square, the tiniest moustache you've ever seen. Clearly, he's incredibly proud of his position in the hotel. And he's instantly welcoming, the way that folks wanting to make their hotel the best possible experience for you. Welcome to the Langham, madam, the grandest grand hotel in London. How can I help you have an experience of unparalleled luxury today?
Well, yeah, I'm looking for a friend of mine, and I go through the whole spiel again, Mr. Taggart, and now I understand that he's staying here at the hotel, but I want my my visit to be a little bit of a surprise to him. So maybe you can just let me know his room number, and I'll mosey on up and pay him a visit myself.
And he turns to the kind of cubby holes behind the reception desk, and he goes and he reaches and he says, it appears that Mr. Taggart is not, and you can see he reaches towards one of the cubby holes labeled 52, and he says, oh, it appears that Mr. Taggart is not in the hotel.
Well,
can I leave a message for when he returns?
You know, we're such very good friends, and you see, I'm gonna be. I'm just kind of thinking of how to play this. Yeah, well, and then I kind of I kind of like stop playing nice, and all right, now it's I wanted to be nice about this, but look, I'm a representative of the US government, and I kind of like flash some little medal I won from my shooting days, but then quickly hide it away. And I we've been working with your local British what do you call Scotland Yard to search down a wanted fugitive that has escaped from my country to yours, and we believe Mr. Taggart is connected to them. Now, I would hate to have all of Scotland Yard in this hotel making a ruckus and questioning all your guests. So how about you give me that key, and I can just do the investigation myself, and you can continue doing business as usual.
Shall we run this as a day move with your presence?
Yeah.
Which is +1, I think.
Yeah. And actually, let's see. Do I have anything else I can add to this?
Yeah. You know, if you want to turn this to advantage with some bit of your personal quarters. There's nothing down there that looks anything like a set of credentials, is there?
Yeah, no. I was just double checking. Okay. And that's 10.
Well, You lot are giving me no scope at all. So on a 10, so on a 10 plus, you do what you intended, or you hold steady. But I do want to offer you the chance to improve that to a 12 plus, if you want to invoke a mask.
What would a 12 plus?
An extra benefit or advantage you receive. Describe what it looks like.
Yeah, I think that I will. And I think that I will, let's see here. Yeah, I'll narrate a flashback to the time I finally went west that shows you happy and free. And I'm gonna think on that. I don't have one just off the top of my head, but
Okay,
I'll
no,
come back to it maybe after because we're hitting the break soon. So maybe I'll have something after the break. But I think that what I kind of add is that, and remember, this is an active investigation, so you shouldn't be if Mr. Taggart asks if anyone came around, what are you gonna say?
Oh, that no one at all has been here. And he will accompany you upstairs with the key, unlock the room, and we'll cut at the point where the door opens and you step into the room.
Okay.
And it is 2 minutes past the hour, so I'm going to suggest we take a break now until 10 past the hour, and I'll see you then. Yeah. So we cut back. We left Constance entering the Pinkertons' hotel room, but let me cut back to Hence and Moore. Moore is still has subdued the struggling Simon Piedmont, and Hence has drawn the attention of the creature of Cremorne Gardens, who is now holding in their clawed hands the pearl. Hence, I think I'll come to you first. What, if anything, are you going to say? Because you now have a chance to convince it to walk away, I think.
That is exactly what I'm going to try to do.
And how? How do you communicate with this creature?
Well, I think that when we looked into the mirror at the same time, we communed before. So I'm going to attempt to, again, I'm going to attempt to do the same thing. How should I put this? If my first contact attempting to look directly at the creature is too intense, I will pull out the mirror that has the ghost in it.
Oh, the mirror that gives you a chance to talk to. Yes, I'd forgotten about the mirror that.
I mean, at the moment, I'm mostly just using it as a mirror, right?
Yeah.
Much like the window in the dark during the last night, but perhaps the ghost can communicate for me. Or help me communicate.
I think that's a very elegant use, and I'm going to make, for that reason, so if you mark that on your personal quarters, and we then it is. It's just a one-off. That doesn't seem right. Can I just pause for a moment while I go back to what it said in the St. James Street Ghost about this? A mirror that always shows a reflection of the St. James Street Ghost added to your personal quarters. I guess it continues to be there, but it only gives you advantage once.
Yes. Oh, I'm assuming I don't lose my tarot cards just because I've used them. No, I'll pick them up after the scene, hopefully.
Right. So I think that's a really elegant way to recreate the point of communing. And I think that let's have that as a day move, I guess, to convince it to go quietly, now that it has what it came for. Does that seem fair?
Yep. I think what I'm worried will happen is that the creature will take its proverbial or actual pound of flesh from Simon on the way out.
Fine. And is this a reasoned argument that you're putting to the creature? You've got what you came for. Why don't you just leave?
Essentially, I am saying that, you know, not so much saying as trying to like indicate, you know, this is not a world that understands creatures like you and I, and so the less you have to do with it, the better.
Fine.
Like,
That does sound like a reasoned argument. So roll with reason, but with advantage.
right. I think my reason is still -1. Okay, got it. I'll just roll the 3 dice and we'll do that.
I think that's probably the simpler solution. Yeah.
Okay, it's the column.
Fine.
Oh, did that not work?
I didn't see it move.
Okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah, sometimes roll with me doesn't like my internet.
So what? I didn't see those move, but what are you seeing?
I didn't either. Yeah, it showed like it was rolling, but it didn't actually change anything. So I'm gonna press control, or I'm gonna just do the number entry.
Okay.
It says dice added, and I cannot see any dice
Nor
that
can
are
I.
added.
Nor can I.
I'm gonna try reloading it because it may just be.
Okay. While you're going back, while you're going to that, I'm going to cut back to Constance and Taggart's room.
Okay. Would you be offended if I just used dice?
Not at all. Not at all.
Because I reloaded it and it said now it's throwing a DNS error.
No, definitely get some solid dice and just roll them in front of you.
I will.
But let me cut back to Constance as
no problem.
We pick up as Constance was door was unlocked and the manager says, if you just leave the key with me downstairs, madam. This is tall windows that let in a lot of light, palm leaf motifs, plush rugs underfoot. Taggart won't allow any cleaning staff in his room. Look around. How do you know this, Constance?
Well, before I jump into that, I think going back to the mask I marked.
Oh yes.
I think that as we kind of enter the room, we flash back to my days in like, I think probably it was one of those traveling circuses of the day as a shootist. And I think that we see me performing before the crowd and the popular and like how popular I'm getting. And I think that like we also see like a poster of like of a former like star shootist of the show being plastered over with a new one of the angel. And I think the old shootist is Taggart.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Thank you for that. Yeah, no, I'm not going to bother painting I can't beat that. That's great. So you're in Taggart's room on your own.
And so I think that as we kind of flash back to the present, I think that there are like a bunch of opened letters and things that have been left kind of crumpled up and tossed around the room. And I think like most of them are like letters back to performance agencies back in the States that have rejected him as an act.
Fine. I think you're searching the room, aren't you?
Yeah, I think, that's definitely what I'm doing.
So, and given the way you're going about it, it seems fairly, kind of ordered. You're not just rushing about, just tearing, picking stuff up.
Yeah.
So, is this composure or reason?
I think it's probably reason, but I think they're the same.
Okay. So roll with reason then as you work your way around the room. I am going to make you roll with disadvantage because you are currently, I've remembered, drained.
It's a miss.
Oh, fine. Already a miss. Okay. So do you want to improve that?
Sure. It's the last set. Well,
We still got
you
some
know
vampires.
what? I feel like we're not going to solve this mystery anyway. So let's just leave that miss as it is. What happens? Unless you're going to kill me. I mean, I'll probably have to do it then.
No, I'm not going to kill you at this point. I don't think I can kill you on an information move. That would be really harsh. But I can complicate life when the door opens and in comes D.I. Pettigrew.
Yeah, I
You look at him. We cut back to Hence.
Okay.
Hence, what did you get?
I was waiting for the dramatic dice roll sound. So, okay, that is a 3.
Oh my goodness me!
You think that the dice roller is the only thing that rolls badly for me?
So put on a mask, improve it to a mixed success.
Okay.
Or go with the failure. Because your worry was, I mean, you've already told me.
Yeah, I'm actually. I think I'm okay with going with the failure. Well, I guess actually, that's the thing, right? Is that just what happens? Is it that, we're now stuck in a room, the creature has left with the pearl after having taken a large chunk out of the side of Simon?
Well, I think what I want to do is to go to more, because the complication is going to be that the creature is going to want a pound of flesh from more. So.
I thought it was from Simon.
Sorry, from Simon, but Moore is currently holding.
Well, I'm
Simon.
in the way.
Right. So Moore, the core question is: do you let it take its pound of flesh, or do you protect Simon?
I mean, the safest way to handle someone else's revolver is to unload it, and I will unload it in the creature's face.
Okay. So that does seem to me like, and that sounds again like a night move. I have to say that there's live rounds in play.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, obviously this is an item which is not in my personal quarters, so I don't think it gives me advantage.
No, I don't think it does.
And similarly, I'm not defending Hence at this rate, am I?
I think I can read this because I'm about to make you disadvantaged because you're blooded.
Okay.
So you can cancel that on the grounds that it is becoming bloodthirsty. Shall we put it that way?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
So what does failure look like? What are you afraid is going to happen in this night move?
Yeah, I mean, he might just tear at my throat, given that I am.
Well, don't give me anywhere to go. As worse.
I mean, it won't be the first time a creature of the night has torn out my throat in this campaign, Alan. So.
Well, can I suggest that the simple solution is that you miss?
Oh, okay.
And then I can say, and it tears out your throat.
Okay. Well, I mean, if I set the ceiling high, I'm completely responsible. And what worse can he do to me, right?
I mean, the worst then could be that it frenzies afterwards, and you're not going to be the last person it kills tonight.
You see, at that rate, do I really care?
Yeah, you can definitely escalate past even that. So.
Okay, no, let's go with that.
I don't want to say the worst thing it can do is hurt my feelings either, Alan.
Fair enough. The worst thing you can do is it can tear out your throat.
Yeah.
The worst thing is that once it's torn your throat out, it will move on to somebody else.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I better not miss. So I'm rolling flat, am I?
I think you're rolling flat with. I mean, it sounds like vitality.
Sure. I took your insight last week with my advance, and I bumped my presence to 1. So apart from sensitivity, all my stats are 1.
Then there you go.
Which makes life really easy when I'm rolling dice. Okay, so that is an 8.
So on an 8, then you do it, but there is a complication or cost. The keeper describes what it looks like. Yes, you shoot it, But you also shoot Simon.
Okay.
Content with that?
I assume, I mean, for that to work, right? Presumably, I get off Simon.
Indeed.
Maybe in the struggle, and a round goes astray and hits Simon on the ground. Okay.
And it is that pearl is mine as Simon rushes towards it. Yeah.
Well, that is certainly a complication.
Indeed. Are you content to have murdered Simon Piedmont?
Oh, murdered! You said shot. I didn't.
Well, then, what can I tell you?
I mean,
let's Simon is in a pool of blood on the ground.
With a strange creature, which everyone will attest to. Yeah, sure.
But you can also put on a mask to make that go away.
Reflexive urine. Yeah, I think I will. And I think we see a flashback to Moore working at the opium den, and he is, chucking one of the kind of rich and influential, whose very impressive hats we saw last week when Constance was exploring the den, and he has gone a step too far in whatever he's been doing, and we are ejecting him from the premises. And of course, this hat has been trod on the way out. And I think in revenge, he takes his cane to strike Moore in the face, and I think he does so. But there's a Bobby right behind him who witnesses this unprovoked act of aggression, and of course hauls him out and maybe gives him a beating without looking for the full story, and kind of Moore is just a hapless victim.
No, I like that. And maybe this is why when you became a bouncer at Cremorne Gardens, you were a little overzealous, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, I think perhaps what happens is that the shot goes into Simon, but the beast takes his pound of flesh directly where the round went in. And so there's no evidence that he was shot, because there's a great big hunk of flesh taken out of his side where the bullet went.
I think that the creature runs for the river at that point. Yeah. I think I've milked that resolution about as much as I can. Let's cut back to Constance when D.I. Pettigrew comes in and says, "It's Miss O'Neill, is it not?"
Yeah, you got a good head for names there, Mr. Pettigrew.
Yes, well, I have found that it pays to keep track of who's staying at Argrave House. Now, can you explain to me what you're doing in this gentleman's room? What I have come to visit?
Oh, well, you see, Mr. Taggart is an old friend of mine, and I kind of pull that book of what was the book I have on me?
The well-worn yellow pages purporting to be the romances of John Dee.
Yeah, I was returning his book to him as I had borrowed it. You see, Mr. Taggart does not like to admit it, but he has a real thing for occult romances.
I think Pettigrew's eyebrow goes up, and we wait to see how you roll on the day move. The advantage will cancel your drained. And I guess you're rolling with presence, as usual, as you try to con another person.
Yeah. I mean, I had that book and I've been waiting for a reason to use it. And that is a miss.
Oh, so I think that we will see Pettigrew look at you, and the obvious thing here is that he doesn't believe you, and he takes you into custody, I think. Do you want to go with that, or do you want to put a mask on?
You know what? I feel really bad for D.I. Pettigrew, but I guess I mean, how attached are you to this character, Alan?
Oh, I mean, if you want to shoot a member of Scotland Yard,
no, because I was gonna mark the darkened threshold.
Oh, this is these
because I think that like as he like grabs me, I think that like I think even like is this like there's a little bit of a scuffle and like he ends up hitting me in the face with like a baton or something, and then like we see me come up and my eyes are reddened and glowing and I have this maw of fangs and I like slash Pettigrew across the throat and run.
A spray of blood and we cut. Absolutely. Yeah. I wonder how Taggart will explain the disfigured corpse of a Scotland Yard detective in his room. But where do you run in this kind of slightly feral form?
I think it was a partial, like now it's a partial hit. So I think like I do manage to like flee the scene. Like I calm down and I look down at the corpse, and then like I like lock the door behind me and actually, I think, you know what? I think it's that my coat is sprayed with blood and I like take it and like hang it on Taggart's coat rack hook. And then I lock the door behind me and I just pretend that I just like take the key down, leave it at the desk a bit like white faced, and I take a cab back to the house.
Oh, wow. Fine. Where we might suggest, unless Moore and Hens have more to do at Cremorne Gardens, because I now am going to mark Cremorne Gardens as resolved. We have some rewards for Cremorne Gardens, which I've just noticed I've not pulled across. So let me just dig those out. Actually, it's probably quicker if I just read them. The potential rewards for Cremorne Gardens are Greco, the second sighted boy, can be consulted via dreams on an ongoing basis, but only if you have the cosmic passage marked. Or then there are mementos. So let me start with Hens. Do you want to be able to consult one of Mr. Simpson's class acts, Greco, the second sighted boy? Or do you want to define some other memento?
So correct me if I'm wrong. Did Moore actually kill the creature too, or just Simon?
No, I think that
okay, that's
Simon
fine.
is injured.
Simon is injured. Got it.
And the creature has run for it, because I think it's a more interesting complication if we're left with an injured Simon. So hang on, I'm just pasting the Greco can be consulted by, there we go, as long as you have the cosmic pathway, and the other one is, all the other ones are memento. Ask another. So there you go. They're in the, oh bugger, I've put it in the Pinkerton one. Too many moving parts. There we go. It's in the right, it's in Cremorne Gardens now. What are you tempted by, Hens?
I mean, I'm probably going to take a memento.
Okay, so ask another hunter what it is, and then add it to your personal quarters. So you can ask Constance or more what it is that that you take away from this.
Okay,
This
I think
threat.
I'm going to ask Constance, because when we meet back up with Constance, when we tell her that, okay, this whole situation's been resolved now, she's okay, well, I guess I don't need to hang on to this anymore here. And it's something that that presumably you found in prior parts of this investigation, since I was uninvolved in those. I had never met actually Simon before that time.
That's
that
true.
Scene.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was Marta that did most of the Simon
Yes.
work.
Mm-hmm.
So, Constance, what is it that that Hens is going to end up with?
I'm curious if I can be a little bit like creative here, and not like, I think, is like the memento an eerie melody that you can't get out of your head.
I like that.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Yep. So
Yeah.
then that's just what I get. Yeah.
That is what's in your personal quarters, inverted commas. Yes.
Yeah.
What about you, Constance? Who do you want to ask what you end up with from Cremorne Gardens?
Sure, I'll ask Mr. Moore.
I know when we first went to the gardens, we ended up in the saloon.
We did.
There was a.
I have a thought. If
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it a bottle of quote unquote fine whiskey?
I was going to suggest a bottle of the actual whiskey instead of the. Oh my God, what is that rotgut that we were served up?
A bottle of fine whiskey.
Yeah,
it works for me. And finally, Mr. Moore, who do you want to ask, or do you want to be able to consult Greco by dream?
I don't think I can. I don't have the. I have the cosmic passage marked. So yeah, I guess I will get a memento, and Hens will tell me what it is.
Okay. Yep. So I was just double checking. Apparently, not only was my dice roller offline, my version of the spreadsheet is offline.
Oh no!
As well. So that's why I was looking at the list and there was nothing.
Well, do you want us to add stuff?
Well, yes, if you could add the song to my I probably need to restart my router, and it probably won't, and obviously I'll drop off the call if that happens. So
okay, so what I'm writing in is a haunting siren song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A haunting siren song. There you go.
So actually I like the rest of the necklace that held the pearl.
Oh, right. Mr.
Because
Moore?
that, yeah.
Content with the rest of the necklace that held the pearl?
Sure.
And I can mark that as resolved. We've done rewards. We are left with a Pinkerton Limehouse lurker. So it's afternoon. What a busy morning it's been. More presumably, Simon Piedmont has been whisked off to the East London Hospital or somewhere, or the West London.
On account of an animal attack.
Apparently. And Simpson, the last thing we see Simpson saying to Moore is, "What was that thing? And do you think they need work?"
I think we've seen the last of that beast. Thankfully, for your point of view, you can go back to normal business.
Wow. And we'll see him sketching out ideas to his daughter as you walk away, saying, "Could we not put something on the posters about Cremorne Gardens, home of the creature?" But what do you want to do with the afternoon then? Let me start with Moore. What's your suggestion for how we see you spending the afternoon? Or do you want to move straight to dusk?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think Moore is probably wanting to pay Chen Bao a visit in Limehouse, but we can go to dusk and then do that at nighttime, right?
Okay. What I'm doing is just clearing some of the clues from the lurker that we've used from other places. There we go. That goes there. And that goes. So currently there are 2 unused clues around the Limehouse. 3, sorry. No, sorry, more than that. 5. Gosh, what a lot. There we go. Okay, so there are 5 clues currently unaccounted for. And the difficulty for resolve this threat by luring the vampire in, resolve this threat by infiltrating its nest and then destroying it or convincing it to leave London. So I think that the resolution here is about finding its nest. So with that in mind, Moore, what is your suggestion? What we see you doing next?
Yeah, I think we have a plethora of clues that specifically mention places, right? There's fresh blood dripping down from a high place, a thick swarm of bats over a specific place, dried bloodstains in an unusual place. And I think although we didn't use it in the solution last time, we had tied in the small bite marks to the bats, which I think is a nice one.
Yeah.
And then this, so I think all those point at a place, right, which is I think perfect for this part of the mystery. Stories of a victim behaving unkindly towards children. I think we know that around back. I mean, I'm saying this now because even though I'm introducing it, around the back of the Limehouse School, there is a kind of a secret entrance, or maybe a way over the wall, which the children use since time immemorial to get out when they shouldn't. And I think this encounter took place there because it is near to the way into the vampire's nest.
Okay.
And it doesn't want people hanging around there.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, one of the victims, the second was young mother Charla Bell, found in an alleyway behind the Limehouse School. Yeah.
Yeah.
So does this sound like you are wanting to pin this down in terms of?
Yeah, I think there is some, I don't know, sewer grate or something like that, some storm drain around the back of the Limehouse School, which is the best way in and out into the vampire's nest.
Okay.
So are we if we're theorizing, do we want to like set the scene for how we're doing that, or?
Well, this is going to be my question. I think is that what Moore has done is to narrow this down. My question is whether you want to do any more investigation of this, or whether you want to move this to theorize and set it up. Constance?
I mean, if we feel like, so we would be rolling at +1 right now, so maybe it could be worth digging in a little bit deeper, just to.
I'm tempted to read the cards again.
If in doubt, read the cards.
Right. I mean, partially because it would be great if I could get the best outcome on that, which is of course a miss. So.
Well,
and it might give us a clue. Yep, it might give us a clue. So that's.
So if Hence is going to read the cards on what's happening, why, and whether we can turn that into a clue. Moore, are you content to stay at Hargrave House, or do you want to go to Limehouse? Same question to Constance.
I think it depends where Hence is intending to read the cards, whether they prefer to do that in Hargrave House or kind of at the scene?
Very good question. What's your view,
You know what?
Hens?
I'm okay with doing it at the scene.
Okay.
There's nothing that says I have to do it in the house.
Fine. So all three of you, unless Constance, you want to pursue Mr. Taggart.
No, I think when you come back, Constance is I think she still looks a bit paled, and I think probably I doubt that Hens would notice, but I think probably Mr. Moore notices that I am wearing a lighter beige duster that I coat that I usually never wear, because usually I'm wearing my my black duster.
Okay.
And I think Moore's solution to this is obviously an extra spoon of sugar in Constance's tea, and maybe like a sit down in a quiet room away from the occult shenanigans, which Hens is going to perceive.
So are we going to have a little kind of break, and or are you going to go pretty much straight back? I'm curious whether you're going to head straight to Limehouse once.
Yeah, I'm fine
once you've
taking
had a
part
cup
in
of
the
tea.
investigation. I just wanted to establish what it was like when you got back.
Yeah, thank you.
That something has
I
clearly changed since we broke up.
I mean, there might be two opportunities for Constance to like pry in this session, and one would be right now over a cup of tea, and the next one will be if they visit the opium den.
Because remember, you can always set up, the vulnerable scene, the vulnerable move, whenever you like. We've tended to do it at night, but there's no reason to do it at night.
Oh, well, yeah. Although I think that technically the only person that the Factotum can ask for a vulnerable scene with is their employer.
True. Yeah,
so it would have to be me involving more in shootistry, and like I couldn't think of a way to like bring that into the fiction just now.
I mean, we can always
more just disarm somebody. You could go over the finer points of that.
And remember, we can always say Hargrave House has a shooting gallery in
the
basement.
Does it have to be shooting things, or can it be like talking about firearms or like discussing past experiences of shooting things?
I will cast this as widely as I can.
Okay, I guess that makes sense to me.
Okay, so a discussion of what has gone on. Is that what we're seeing more?
Yeah, so like maybe like the scene is in the kitchen with Moore making the tea, and then he is about to leave, and like he reaches into his pocket where the revolver that he took from what's his face, whose name I've already forgotten.
So yeah, poor Simon. Already
and, like, puts it on the table.
Line.
Yeah, and I think I probably say something along the lines of, while we're having this tea, well, unfortunately, I didn't find anything to speak of as regards to Mr. Taggart. I hope that you managed something a bit more yourself, Mr. Moore.
Well, we gave the beast in the gardens what it wanted, more or less. Some this pearl that we had recovered, along with some modicum of vengeance on the man who possessed it. I'm not sure whether shooting actually helped resolve any of it, but
yeah, that does it does strike me, Mr. Moore. You're more like, what's the word? Familiar with things of the gunpowder variety than I would expect a man of your profession to be. Is there a story there?
Well, I wasn't born into this service, but like most general folks butlers, I served Queen and Country before, and there's been plenty of gunplay to be had in that service.
I think you've triggered the move.
Yeah. I think I probably kind of look down at my tea and say, you have much so you have much cause for you have much cause to kill folk when you were seeing this service?
Well, we had little cause, but we did a lot of it.
Yeah, I find that is the case more often than not. And yeah, now I just wanted to add that.
I mean, the grander the ideas of our employers, the less cause we need, it would seem.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll make the vulnerable move here.
So each of you gets to clear a condition. If it's your vice, and it was Constance, stumble on a clue or invite the other hunter to ask you about your past, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, do I want to? I think that, yeah, fictionally, I think that adding clues at this point isn't going to be super helpful one way or the other. So I think that I'll just invite you to ask a question about my past.
So is this Constance or just player to player? So is there like
no, this is in character. You were asking me, and I have to respond honestly, but I don't have to give you all the information.
Okay. And I think that kind of appraising eye is put on Constance in a way maybe she hasn't felt before. And I say, I mean, your familiarity with gunplay is rather out there and not to be doubted, but I always got a sense there's something more to your story than that. The cut of your clothes especially speaks to wealth, if not taste.
Well, yeah, I come from a certain amount of wealth, but well, in particular, if you're a woman, coming from wealth carries with it certain some of its own fetters. There were things that were expected of me in that life that frankly I didn't want to have any truck with. And so I found my own ways to make money, and they suited me just fine, even if I didn't always like how I went about it.
That seems
people in high society tend to be shocked when a woman wants to wear trousers for some reason.
And that seems to be a nice close for scene. I'm going to suggest, given that Mendel is restarting their router, that we take a break now and we come back on the hour. Does that seem fair? Okay. See you.
I'm back already.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Well,
no, it's all good. Yes,
it's a logical break anyway, and then we'll kick off.
Yeah. Oh no.
It is.
Yes.
The tarot reading and do dusk and then into night and somewhere in Limehouse. ... Okay. See you on the hour.
Sounds good.
We're back from our final break, and I think that we are in a position where we are going to finish the day phase with Hence and the others debarking from a cab in Limehouse, where we will see Hence read the tarot. Is that fair, hence?
Yes, I think that sounds like a plan.
Okay, so let's have you thin that veil. Oh, wow. Does that look as good as I think it is? That looks like an 11 plus sensitivity.
No, I think I got a 3 and a 6, so
Okay.
it's an 11 with sensitivity. But yes,
fine. So
Mhm.
I need to ask: do you want to don a mask and improve that to a 12 plus?
Oh, what the hey? Okay, so let's introduce the coven, or at least the leader of the coven.
Because that's what you were keen to do, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. So,
Narrate a flashback of your young adulthood that shows when you first met the leader of the coven, and then name them.
So, I think that the scene is I'm climbing a tree out in the woods as a strapping young hens, and a bough breaks, and I sort of careen through several branches into the ground, and there's this thud, and as I look up, there's a sort of a six-fingered hand in a filigreed glove that reaches down to help me up. And it's the figure behind it is dressed in sort of a classic gentleman's suit, but is very clearly no gentle human of any sort. Is sort of a both hairy and reptilian skin, and where the few places it is visible, and a head with a trio of horns, sort of two in the front, one in the back, and then above that a burning crown, and he will introduce himself as Modus.
I mean, that's good enough, I think, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So the coven has been unveiled.
Right.
So for that becomes a 12 plus. So on a 12 plus, you may ask what is about to happen.
Right. So what is about to happen in Limehouse?
I think that let's personalize it. I think Elsie Willows is about to be dragged into the shadows, one of the Hargrave House informals. On a 10 plus, you get to ask me, why is this about to happen?
And why is it about to happen?
Something in the shadows is hungry.
Okay, so Elsie is likely to be the next victim of something.
Indeed so. But because you went through, you got to 12 plus, I will give you a clue. Mm-hmm. And the clue is that you see a Bible thrown to the ground at Elsie's feet as she is dragged into the shadows. Okay. And I will tell you more about that Bible at a point when I can engineer you finding it. But the clue is Elsie's Bible. Yeah.
I will probably. I mean, I'm not going to keep that a secret from anybody.
No. No.
So I'm relating that as soon as I can.
And undoubtedly that is in the alley. It looks like behind the. So hang on, let me just add to the threat board. Elsie's Bible. Yeah. So that gives you 6 clues. Do you want to theorize in a way that sufficiently pins this down to the storm drain at the back of the Limehouse School? Constance, do you want to have a go? Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I can. Is this for theorizing, you mean?
Yes, because
Yeah.
I think that was the plan, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can start. I think that in addition to some of the stuff that Moore kind of brought up previously in terms of pinpointing the location that it's connected to the sewer system, I think is kind of Moore's insight.
Yeah.
I think that the other axis we have is that perhaps those bite marks, and I brought this up last time, aren't actually bite marks in the shape of anything human at all, but rather they're a lot of small bat bites. And so I think that we found something that it's controlling bats, or was that one of the clues?
There was a thick swarm of bats over a specific place, and I think
Yeah,
that,
I think that there is an old I think from one of the old kind of medieval landmarks of London, some parapet or something that the bats are, that is a known roost for bats in the city.
and that location is clearly visible from an alley behind the Limehouse School, conceivably. Yeah. Okay, let me move on to more. So do you want to try and put a couple of these clues into place?
Yeah, and I think one of the dried bloodstains in an unusual place is maybe, halfway up a wall, where no one could really expect to get wounded unless you were being hoisted up by some kind of flying creature, which maybe is into into the building.
Okay. Do you want to have a go at as a second one? Because I'm now going to put you behind the Limehouse School where you will find Elsie's Bible.
Yeah, I think as I kind of went through earlier, the stories of a victim being unkindly towards the children kind of makes perfect sense at the back of the Limehouse School. So fine, we're kind of baking that in as well.
And let me come to hence then. Can you add the final two clues? And I've now put Elsie's Bible with the pages about the soldier spearing the side of Christ torn out.
The bloodstains in an unusual place. I think that the unusual place can be conveniently indicating that the blood spatter had to happen from an aerial attack. So that sort of could line up with the bats.
Okay.
As far as the spearing, there are some apocryphal tales that when Longinus stabbed the side of Christ, that creatures flew out from there. That the blood that was splattered on the rocks became living things. Now they weren't, in those tales that they were not dark, horrifying creatures of the night. They were like, this blood has life in it. Well, the idea of the blood turning into small creatures, I think, is a resonance here.
Yeah, so maybe is the resonance that perhaps rather than being like pushed away from holy places, is the creature maybe drawn to holy places to roost in, and it's an old abandoned church that it's hiding in.
Oh, the creature may in fact think that it is the holiest of creatures because it consumes blood, that most refined thing, not mere base food and flesh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So just so I'm clear then, are we now moving from a subterranean set of tunnels below the Limehouse School.
Can I suggest a variation? So under the previous thing, I talked about how we figured it was old because there was because the architecture when the Limehouse when that Limehouse workhouse was built, seemed to have been influenced by this creature. And that's one of the clues we got into why it was an old vampire. Well, what if, as part of that, that was an era that was built, that some of that construction was built in an era when, you know, basically during, you know, a few hundred years ago, and there were reasons to have, say, like hidden Catholic chapels in London. And so perhaps that as part of that architecture, there's a sign that there's a hidden chapel underneath the Limehouse School.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and I was thinking less that like, in my mind the tunnels were connected to somewhere else, but that also works.
Okay.
That was what I was suggesting.
Okay, I was just getting a bit confused between church steeples and tunnels. So we're still going with tunnels, but we believe that there might be a holy place below the tunnels. Okay. Angel, have you rolled to answer a question in the recent past?
I mean, not this session now.
Then let's hand the dice to Angel with +2 to see whether you have located the nest of the vampire. All
right, and that is 13.
Yeah. So on 12 plus, so yeah, absolutely, you have pinned down the location. On 12 plus, the mastermind will reveal themselves while the hunters are pursuing the opportunity. Oh, right, okay. Right.
Just to complicate your life more.
Just to complicate, just to add a variety to this. That so we have Elsie in play, and now we have the mastermind in play. Okay. So what I think we'll do is we will then see the sun setting over Limehouse as you come to, and you're standing around this this storm drain, looking down into the darkness as the sun sinks. And that allows me to resolve any dusk moves. You know, Angel, we keep wondering, because is it dusk when the quickening kicks off?
Yeah, it is.
So let us have you roll to see whether you can keep a grip on the beast within.
All right, that is a 3, but I'm gonna have to kick that up because even the other miss one means I can't make any, and like both I and the other person can't take part in night moves.
Oh God!
So I'm just gonna kick that up.
Okay.
That's okay. I'll mark a mask, and I'll think on what that is.
Okay. And while you're thinking about that, does nobody else has a dusk, do they? Oh no, I mean, there's always a chance that you could call another member of the Hargrave House informals.
I do have a dusk move as well. Anyway, my day job.
Oh yes, sorry, of course you do.
So I think I will pick the option I didn't pick last time, which is I find something of use in the house, say what it is, and give it to another hunter. And somehow I think we must have known which page was missing from Elsie's Bible, because I think I have wrapped up in a blanket or some kind of waxed roll up is some kind of spear. Maybe it is haven't been taken from a previous threat. You know. One of the earlier generations of Hargrave House, but yeah, it's a very useful spear.
Who are you going to give the spear to, more?
Who most requires some kind of holy weapon? I think you'll have to make your sobriquet mean something this session, Constance. I think we shall give it to the angel.
Yeah, sure. I could use more weapons in my.
if you're not averse to using a spear.
I mean, that's fine.
Hand, spear
I now have. I should note. I now have 4 weapons in my.
Oh, okay.
in
Okay,
my
well,
personal
maybe I'll give it
quarters.
to Hens then.
Okay.
I'm still surprised you didn't use the silver letter opener as the badge when trying to persuade those folks. But okay,
I mean, it didn't seem. I mean, I don't know. It seemed a little bit hard to buy, but that was.
it was a little pushing it. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
So hence you have, the spear of Longinus, maybe, who knows? You have a spear.
Okay,
Congratulations.
it's a good thing that I bumped up my my vigor when I first made the characters. So
Indeed.
to a hefty 0.
And then I think we will cut back to Hargrave House so we can paint a bit more of the scene about Hargrave House. And I think as the camera does it does every evening at dusk, as it wanders around the house, we come into a room with on the door is music room. A former hunter in residence once used this room to contain a spirit using the power of music. There are still subtle signs of the struggle in this room. What are they? Constance, what do you see that shows this struggle to contain an unquiet spirit through the power of music?
And where are we in?
The music room at Hargrave House.
Oh, okay. I think the room is there are just like music boxes everywhere.
Fine, that's music boxes everywhere. What do we also see that illustrates this?
I think there's a gramophone and there's some cylinders which should hold the music to play upon them, but actually if you look closely there are some kind of arcane language embedded in them, which I don't know, maybe the voice and soul of the spirit, or may have been some kind of ritual to dispel it.
Lovely. And finally, hence.
So the crystal chandelier that is hanging from the center of the room, if you look carefully at it, you can see what appears to be a few lines or planes of red, where it appears almost as though blood had splattered and then was caught permanently in the crystal.
Okay. And then I'm supposed to ask you what your plan for the night is. I think it's pretty clear that you're going to go down into these tunnels. Is anyone got other plans? I'll take that as everyone is going to go down into these tunnels. And then I will introduce the unseen. Hargrave House at night. The camera continues to wander around, and and we can hear scurrying behind the skirting boards. We see a crack in the floorboards. Constance, how do we know that there are rats behind that crack in the floorboards?
I think as the camera kind of zooms in on the cracks, like we hear a scratching that gets louder and louder until eventually it's just this like it's just this like ear-piercing like skittering.
Thank you. And let me start with Constance then. What do we now see of Constance in the tunnels below Limehouse? Frame a scene or an activity.
Yeah, and I think that this does play into a move I have now. Let me just... Where is it? Did it... Here we go. Right. I think that like as we like see Constance stepping through the tunnels, we see like some like rats scurry away from her feet, and she is staring at them, and she is kind of staring at them intently and examining their behavior. And there's almost this little like growl that emanates from the back of her throat as she like follows them. And there's like a little bit of an urge to like hunt and like eat them raw. But I'm gonna ask the question, what does this animal want me to do?
Oh, yes, I've forgotten about the awakened soul. What does that want you to do? The keeper will answer truthfully and completely. When you act on the answer or pursue a course of action which will intuitively understand, take with advantage. Okay, I think the rats want you to give them back their tunnels.
Mhm.
There is something here that is usurping their position. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go next to Moore. What do we see of Moore? Oh no, let me unseen. I will finally get one of these right all the way through. Moore, as the camera goes through that crack in the floorboards, what do we see that suggests that something is hunting the rats of Hargrave House?
I think in this kind of very narrow gap in between the floorboards, we see other scratches, like as if something has been dragging itself through this crawl space. Um, you know, and in tandem.
Oh, you broke up then, Donna. Oh, you broke up for me. You broke up, Donna. I got as far as crawl space.
Yeah, so we see large scratches as if something has been dragging itself through the crawl space after these rats.
And then what do we see of Moore as we cut back to the tunnels beneath Limehouse?
Yeah, I think some of these side tunnels are not are not the kind of grand, clean tunnels that we would love to have. And some of them are quite tight themselves. So I think we see that Moore has removed his jacket to kind of squeeze into one of these spaces. Even if it's going to give his cleaning a run for his money the next morning.
And as you approach a junction in these tunnels, Moore, there are rats in 3 of the tunnels and no rats in the 4th tunnel. Which tunnel do you take?
And obviously, I think given Constance's insights, we are going down the one with no rats. This is the one in which they feel least safe in.
Okay. Let me cut back to Hargrave House. And we see a rat moving along a skirting board, following the skirting board, into one of the rooms of Hargrave House. Perhaps it's into Hence's personal quarters, the door having been left ajar hence. We see the rat just scurrying along the edge of the room, as though just investigating. And as it comes back around towards the door to leave, the moonlight outside casts a shadow. What shape is the shadow that is cast across the rat? And we see the rat go.
It is an idealized human shape, as though a silhouette of a doll or a mannequin.
For instance, yes. And then there's a squeal and we cut to black. Hence, we see you proceeding through the tunnels beneath Limehouse, what do we see?
So I think that Hence has, I think I've taken off my hat because the ribbons were catching. And so I have my hat in one hand and underneath my hat, which sort of first finally reveals my hair, which is a motley collection. You know, there's a spot that is like a bald pate with just a few strings of hair. There's a curly reddish section. There's a deep black section. There's a shade of straight blonde hair.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously there's muck getting on it, but it's sort of a shocking, you know, visual when the hat comes off.
And then you hear, as you've been making your way through this, you know, we've been hearing footsteps as you go through. Perhaps it's damp underfoot and there's a kind of splashing noise occasionally as you go through these tunnels. And then you hear something is following you. Constance, what do you do? Do you carry on or do you turn to face what's behind you?
I think I think if there's anywhere that I can like disappear around a corner, I think I try to do that and I draw my gun ready to try to spring on whatever is following after me.
And more, you see Constance just edge into a corner and kind of gesture you to carry on going. Is that what you do?
Yeah, I shall be your base.
So I've got Moore and Hens continuing down this tunnel to where it seems to open out into a larger space. I've got Constance down a side tunnel as footsteps or something is coming behind you. Hence, when you enter this large space, it's lit badly by moonlight, as a couple of places you've passed under gratings in the roadway above, and this larger space seems to drop away from you at your feet. It's probably some kind of overflow or reservoir for the sewers, but there is slight moonlight leaking into this. And as you and Moore reach the threshold of this large bowl almost, you can hear a hissing noise ahead of you. What do you do, Hens?
So I think I'm going to you know, freeze and start trying to talk into the darkness. Try to address whatever is making that noise.
Okay. And
see if it can answer me back.
And what do we hear you say?
Who is it out there?
Constance,
what is it you want?
Constance, yeah. Footsteps are getting closer to the corner that Moore and Hens turned round to get to this larger space. And I'm going to suggest that there's a grating above that junction. What do you do when you see a figure in a long raincoat turn that corner? They're wearing a broad-brimmed hat. Who do you think it is, Constance?
I mean, I think that I don't know if this is an actual question or a rhetorical, but I think it is The Pinkerton.
It's got to be the Pinkerton, hasn't it?
Okay.
And he is following Moore and Hence, not having realized you are now around the corner behind him. Moore, what do you do when do you have flocks of bats? Swarm of bats come out of the darkness. We see them flicker through the light, through the grating in the roof of this space, and head towards you and Hence. What do you do, Moore?
I mean, I think let me know if I'm reaching too far with this, but you know, these bats have been living in this vicinity for years, and I think they are very attuned to the time of the day. And I think with the right signal, I could make them think that it is time to return to their roosts. And I think we see Moore pull out the bellows or the whistle, which would belong inside a cuckoo clock. And finally, and I think, you know, I will raise it to my lips and blow it 8 times. And I think, you know, that is a good signal for them to go back to their beds.
That is fantastic. I wish I could say that I'd angled that towards you, but you just ran with that. It isn't sensitivity, so whichever it seems to me it's composure or vitality, but they're both
pure
+1.
Cheek, I think. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're all one, so maybe it's composure, right? I think composure probably makes most sense, you know, as opposed to just diving out of the way of the bats.
Now, it is a night move, so what are you afraid will happen if you fail?
I guess this, you know, perhaps they are completely under the control of the vampire and will merely take that as a signal to accost me.
Okay. I think it would be worse if as they flurry around you, Hence loses their balance and slips down into this bowl-shaped reservoir, and you are separated from Hence. Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to go ahead or do you want to back down?
No, I will go ahead.
Fine. Let's see how this goes then.
So that is 13.
13, you say?
Yeah.
You do what you intended, and the keeper will tell you some extra benefit or advantage you receive. I think you control the bats. So you can decide what to do with these bats. I won't ask you to describe that now. Hence, you have not slipped down into this reservoir. Constance, Taggart is moving away down the corridor, down the passageway towards Moore and Hence. What do you do?
I think like I like shut out whatever lamp I have with me to see in the dark, and I think that I just let myself be guided by Taggart's sense until I'm right behind him, and I draw my gun and level it against the back of his head.
Okay, so the night move. What are you afraid will happen if you fail?
I mean, I'm afraid that I'm not that I'm the one that's going to have the drop on me rather than the other way around.
Fine. And I will make it worse than that by saying that he will actually impale you with his Bowie knife he won't even threaten, he will just stab you with it. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, and I think that yeah, I'll go ahead and
I
And
think
I
this
think
is
that
vitality
actually,
for what it's worth, but
oh, go ahead.
I think it's vitality you're working with, just for because it's
And
dexterity.
and I think that actually that like because I do need to flash back, and I think that like we flash back to a night where like we see myself walking down the street of like a western town as Taggart, as and we kind of zoom, the camera kind of pans away and we see Taggart much in the position I'm in now, creeping behind me, and some bullet shots, we skim over that, and I am bleeding out on the street, and that's when the creature finds me and saves me. And that is the incident where I received my quickening curse.
So you are marking up the mask of the past.
Oh no, I had already marked that, and I had never narrated
you never
that
described
flashback.
it. Sorry, forgive me. Fine. So let's have you roll the dice plus vitality.
Okay, and do I have advantage, or am I just rolling flat because I have drains
I
again?
think you've got drained, so you're flat.
Okay. Okay, and that is a 10.
You're still drained, Stephen?
I once again got a partial.
Yeah.
No, but in our vulnerability,
I lost
scene,
it
right?
and then I gained it again.
Ah, okay.
It's the standard "I will not become a werewolf tonight" condition.
Yeah.
So the chances are you're always going to be drained in the night phase. But that goes perfectly. You have your gun in the small back of the head, small of his back, wherever you want it.
Back of the head.
And what do we hear you? Because you have to say something.
I say, now you're going to an awful lot of effort to find me, Mr. Taggart. You'd think trying to end my life once would be enough for most folks.
Cut back to Hence. Hence, you were going to try and reason with the darkness. What do we hear you saying now that Moore has called off the bats?
Well, I'm still, I guess I'm still going to be calling into the darkness.
I'm curious what you're saying. How does this putative conversation go?
I think I'm also going to try to sort of slowly walk, see if I can, go a little further. I know that there's a ledge there, but I'm going to sort of be piecing my way down, but it'll be,
well, look, now that you,
I would like to be able to talk. I would like to be able to help us keep you from killing without having to do any harm to you.
Okay, and I think what I'll do is I'll say that though it looks like there's a drop down, there is a ledge that runs the around the circumference of this 20 or 30 paces wide bowl or reservoir. So you can be edging around the wall into the darkness as you speak. Does that make sense? Is that?
Yes. Okay. Sounds great.
Well, let's see how that goes, shall we?
Okay.
Because the options you have for resolving this are either to end it, destroy it, or convince it to leave London. Yeah. So which of those? Currently, you're trying to convince it to talk to you so you can convince it to leave London. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm going to try to do.
Okay.
I've so far been sympathetic to monsters. So,
and I think out of the darkness comes the, why should I leave this city teeming with prey? But let's see how this conversation is going to go. What are you concerned is going to happen if you fail?
Oh, I mean, I'm concerned it's going to attack me.
And I will make that worse, that it will bite you and turn you into a vampire.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's have you roll the night move then. If you still want to go through with it, you can always back down.
Well, it feels like I'm going through with it. Like, so yes.
It seems to me that this is composure.
That seems reasonable. Yeah, it's talking to things in the dark is.
That's my feeling.
Yes.
So you're only +1. Feel free to use your own dice.
Right. No. With the router reset, I can use the dice roller.
Fine.
I'm just trying to see if I have any.
No,
not yet.
Any way to turn this? Oh yeah, because actually you are most beloved, aren't you? I'm going to have you roll at disadvantage because I think it would love to taste your blood.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I have a belonging that would help with this right now.
I mean, do you maybe hold up the spear of Longinus, of the totally not a spear of Longinus, and hope it will protect you?
I wondered if you were beginning to hum a siren song.
Well, I have plans for that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I mean that's my backup plan, because that would be ideal for doing some other things. So,
or slip off your jacket and reveal an expensive outfit never worn. If you're going to court a vampire, dress for it. I'm just putting.
Oh no. Yeah, okay, that one I could see. And
how is this different from your usual attire if you're going to use that one?
So what I think is that I think I'm almost always well, so you know what? I think that this is an outfit where it actually shows it, like it is a tailored outfit, whereas most of the times I wear things that don't fit. And part of that means that you can see that the boots that I wear are used to sort of make my legs have a more, typical human shape, and not sort of the bent shape that that's sort of in between the goat leg and the human leg. And basically that it makes my figure, if not understandable, but more human-like in a sense. But this is tailored, and it sort of shows off the sort of the misshapenness of my torso and the bentness of my legs in the trousers. And I think that as I slip off the overcoat, it's like I'm indicating that I am not one of its prey. I am something. I'm here to speak to it as a peer.
Fine. So mark expensive outfit never worn and roll flat. Oh, that looks like
6.
a 5. Goes all the way to 6.
Yes. So I will.
Just a reminder, we have the Mask of the Sun, right? From this.
Oh, you do have the Mask.
Yes, we do. In fact, I think I will use that. It seems appropriate. So
each hunter narrates a dream they once had of primordial Earth, back in time across the ancient seas, back in time when the spirits walked, when the sun was new, when the old gods held court. Hence, let's start with you.
All right. So I think that there is, I think that, I have, I've dreamed, and I keep coming back to this dream where, we're on the mountaintop where there's a countless number of sort of strange but resplendent beings that are the old gods. And there's a collection of creatures, of entities that are being cast away into sent down a cavern into their place for punishment, defeated foes, or maybe those accused of some sort of crime that was not perhaps a crime some eons ago, but is now. And now they're being imprisoned into the earth. And yes.
That's fine. More, what can you tell us about this time long ago and far away?
I think we see a dream of these old gods, and in the world that they ruled before they reached Earth, and we see twin suns rise over the horizon. Maybe in a callback to the architectural picture, right?
Yeah, yeah. And finally, Constance, what can you add to this picture?
I think the dream that I have is of a world before this one where I was not chained to follow the petty laws of society, and where one is free to hunt and kill as one desires.
That's lovely.
And particularly if they're yes, I think that's kind of the image I have.
That's lovely.
And of yeah.
Hunting freely under the twin suns.
Yeah.
So that turns it into a big success. So there is a complication or cost, hence. And it says, were I to leave, what would you give me? And it emerges out of the darkness. More, what is it that tells us that this is an ancient vampire?
I mean, I think it's kind of strange features and gruesome nature we can put down to it just being a vampire. But I think when we stare into its eyes, I think we in the reflection, there's a bit of mesmerism going on here, whether we like it or not. We can kind of almost see the reflection of twin suns. You know, it's from a bloodline that predates this earth.
And it says to you, hence, I will want one last sip before I depart. Where will I feed? Hence, you are going to have to give it somebody. And in the darkness, we hear Elsie's plaintive cry, Mr. Moore, is that you, Mr. Moore? Who are you going to give it? Hence?
I'm going to start to sing that little creepy lullaby.
Okay.
Because I'm going to I'm going to do that. I'm going to, since I'm a little lower than where Moore is, I'm going to put my hand over where he is and give him a look, indicating that I want him to stomp on my hand and initiate the magic.
Those special hobnail boots you keep for these occasions, Moore.
Exactly.
They are useful in many regards. So yeah, I think I bend down so it's not my entire weight on Hence's hand, and then a heel crunches through the bone.
All right. So I am going to write salt and
smoke. I'm gonna jump back and forth now.
Sure.
Constance. Okay. Taggart is saying, Angel, that if it's not me, it'll be somebody else coming for you.
I say, true, But then again, you're underestimating the pleasure I'm going to take in doing this. And then I pulled the trigger.
Oh, wow. Bang. Hence, rights of salt and smoke.
Yes. So it's good. Very glad you cut there. Okay. So I am going to, I believe I get advantage because I'm using the song.
You do?
The siren song. And this is with sensitivity. So
I
three
think
dice.
I'm gonna cancel that advantage with most beloved.
Okay.
Because how
That is
can
acceptable.
you possibly attack a fellow creature of the night?
What makes you think I'm attacking the creature of the night?
Well, what can I tell you?
Yes, I have a plan.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see if this works. That is a 12. So I will gesture and hold on. I actually have to get this call. Just a second.
This would be the perfect opportunity to go to a commercial break, wouldn't it? If we weren't this close to close. What a cliffhanger. Will hence imprison it by barring a place or portal to a specific person or creature?
Sorry, that was my neighbor asking about the ducks, which is perhaps it asks, generates more questions than it answers, but it is how that goes.
Don't worry. We're on tenterhooks here to find out.
Okay,
which
yes. So I will gesture backwards, and tendrils of that gaseous substance will reach back and start slowly wrapping around Taggart. And then as Angel pulls the trigger, I'm going to pull him rapidly through the chamber and over into the darkness where the vampire is.
And you know, I just think we close there. Unless anyone really wants to epilogue out of this. It seems to me the whole point of this game is that we don't know anything about you and we don't know what happens to you until season 2. But I will put it on the table. Constance, do you want to epilogue away from this, or are you content with that just fade to black?
No, I think I'm good with that.
What about you, Donna? What is more?
Yeah, I mean, my job here is done. I trod on a hand, and that is all that's required of me. So I shall go back to my day job.
And we imply the saving of Elsie. Hence, are you content to go with that? To black.
So I'm tempted to give a small reference. That at some point Hence gives a card to to the vampire. Like you see the hand come out from under the coat and take the card. It is a calling card belonging to a Mr. Isaacs from Limehouse. He has expressed interest in the rehabilitation of those of a vampiric persuasion.
Okay.
I do have one thing to add, actually.
Oh, go on.
I never got to resolve that where do I send the bats thing.
Oh, no, you didn't.
And for the uncouth suggestion that this vampire might have fed on Hence, I think I will use my influence over the bats to break the bond between the two of them, so that wherever this vampire goes, he's got to recruit another mob of bats.
Fine. He ain't taking those bats with him.
I mean, I just feel like I have to engage in some petty reprisal.
Of course, a petty reprisal. Yes, thank you. What a relief. You finally got petty reprisal in. And there we will close, I think. Shall we do a quick Roses and Thorns, given it's our last one? Yeah? Okay. Let's start with you, Stephen. Any roses?
Well, yeah, I really enjoyed I enjoyed the degree to which Hence had a tendency to sort of make decisions for themselves that ended up mattering to everyone else at the table. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna befriend this vampire. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, you know, one monster to another. What can you do?
Yeah.
Donna, any roses?
I mean, it is a very recent star, but you know, that final line from Constance, you underestimate how much pleasure I'm going to take from this. Bang, is kind of sums up Constance.
Yes, and it almost
just take it, take what you want.
It kind of you did indulge your vice in that moment. I felt, Constance, that was going to be my star. Anything else, Donna? Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, and I think we got to see a little bit more interplay, although kind of understated as it usually is in the system between the characters this week, which was nice.
And finally, Mendel, any roses?
Oh yes. So I thoroughly enjoyed the deep dark searching under Limehouse. That was very atmospheric. I very much like how, Stephen, you made Constance and Taggart into this like this deep vendetta that just like was layered over years. When it was like they may not have ever known each other, but no, we're going to make it like a full-on Western feel, and I appreciated that reference in there. And Donna, I always appreciate Moore's combination of jobs worthiness, but also willing. It's you can never quite be sure whether he wants to be doing what he's doing or not.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, I mean that's the story arc. That would be my rose for you, Donna. Is that we see this story arc and we just want to know where it goes. But yes, the backstory with Taggart was great, Stephen. Thank you for that. And yeah, hence Mendel is just profoundly disturbing. This is a very odd person. If indeed they are a person. I think that's what we opened the box on. Right. Any thorns? Let's go back round. Stephen.
Yeah, I guess part of the, I'm just kind of thinking here. I feel like coming back to it, compared to Brindlewood Bay, the vices feel a little bit more like they feel a little bit more forced to like associate with each other than Brindlewood Bay does. Because at Brindlewood Bay, you have the kind of shared assumption that you're all like little old ladies doing little old lady things. Whereas in this, like we come from such different like places that it sometimes feels like we need to like that you need more narrative justification for why, like, I'm talking about shooting with Mr. Moore, or why someone is inviting me to a Turkish bath. It just felt a little bit more like it felt like something that less like something you could just do on the drop of a hat, like you could in Brindlewood Bay.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Anytime two old ladies want to talk about baking, seems just anytime you can do that anytime. whereas negotiating a trip to the Turkish baths is a slightly more complicated things to set up. I know what you mean. Donna, any thorns?
I mean, the only thing that struck me is, I guess the factotum is kind of billed as, competent, and I don't see any mechanical reasons to believe that. And apart from the move I took with the informals, all the other ones seem to be about generating mementos, so or bits in the personal quarters. So maybe that's your constant feed of having the right thing at the right time. But
yeah, I mean, I wondered about the informals, whether the intention is for you to generate, kind of one a night or one every day, and then you've got a pool of them. So wherever you are, there's a chance to invoke them to get advantage.
Maybe that's just a factor of longer term play in there, but certainly it didn't seem like the kind of pitch was met by the mechanics.
I was kind of expecting them to be more competent but the only way I can think about it is that those informals are meant to crop up a lot. But again, fictionally, trying to keep hold, it's quite a big job for you then as the player to keep track of a handful or more of NPCs. Don't know.
But anyway,
Mendel, any thorns?
I guess the one thorn, the one thing that I was thinking about is like after the first day-night phase, I stopped picking any of the have sex with questions, because I've got 2 of my 5 optional questions are either have sex with a human or have sex with a dark entity, and it's like it never seemed to be something. Like, the problem is that's actually fairly involved for a thing you do. I mean, presumably usually in the night. Like, it seemed like there wasn't a good way to do that without just derailing the whole session, or derailing the investigation, avoiding the core activity, right? And I was like, it's almost, and especially stuff like, well, I guess you can do something with like beacon in the night, and kind of make that happen. But the fact that encounter darkness, like the fact that it have a face-to-face encounter with a dark entity or make love to a dark entity because it felt good, are both questions. It's like, well, the latter literally assumes that you've done the former. So it just kind of like it feels like some of those questions are, I mean, the human question, that's another, that may be a little easier, but it feels like they're a little overspecified and a little, like, especially the fact that one literally precludes the other, or one literally presages the other, makes it kind of hard to feel like I can demand that much narrative space to have a whole, okay, I'm going to find a demon to have sex with them, or I mean, I guess I could have made a sex scene out of the vampire showing up, but
you could have, I suppose that the fictional positioning is simply, in my room that night, I will set up my night move to be, I will encounter a dark entity. I guess that there's that much power in the narrative for the player, I guess.
Actually, that's something I wasn't clear about, was how much flexibility we had over stuff like our night action, right? In terms of like how much fictional positioning there was when we wanted to do a thing, was like and I mean, and that's because that is one of those things where, especially in the night move, it's like you never know if that's going to be what actually happens, right?
Yes.
But
I guess that if you had said I will have an early night, say no more, then I guess that I might have thrown a night move at you, to see how the meeting went, but then how you then put that back on your trigger, your EP trigger, your dawn question, I think is.
But when I'm also trying to juggle, did you solve anything? Did you have an echo in the night? You know, it's like
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of those things where, because it's an XP question, like it's almost like if the beacon in the night, like if the beacon in the night allowed me to say, draw a creature to visit me at Hargrave House,
Mhm.
that might feel like it's a little bit more intended for something like that, right? You know, whereas as it is, it requires me to actually walk the streets of London.
There's an awful lot going on in the
Oh,
back
there
streets.
is. I'm aware. But that kind of says, if you want to meet up with a dark entity, it's going to have to be a back alley hookup. And it's like, you know, it's like I'm just trying to figure out those questions and
Yeah.
how much I can demand from the narrative to make those work.
Yeah,
Was
I mean,
something I ran into. Yeah.
I think if I was thorning myself, I think that only at this point, really, maybe last week a bit, but this week, did
Yeah.
I begin to get comfortable enough with the rules to begin to mess with them.
Right.
Because certainly I've previously to last time been very kind of have the theory, I keep calling it theorize move, have the answer to the question move, done, move on. Whereas actually how you answer the question, having scenes that revolve around answering the question seems to me to be fine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But so yeah, I think there is something about just getting comfortable with the rules all around. But
Yeah.
I've had a lot of fun, guys, I have to say.
Yeah.
You know, I would quite like now, I think, to run a longer series of this. I'm more interested in the supernatural than I am in the mastermind, I think, at this point. But I think that might just be, again, a factor that we never got quite enough nights in for you to go to a ball. But there you go. So I've kept you 10 minutes after time, so I must stop the recording. There we go.